I am going to steer the conversation toward the unique challenges that farmers have. So before we do that, just a little bit about who Syverson Strege is. We are a fee-only financial planning firm based out of West Des Moines. And what that means is we don't sell any products. We don't receive any commissions. We simply get paid for the advice that we provide to our clients. So we feel like it's a very transparent business model. Now, we are credentialed. We have a number of credentials in our firm. We have about 10 or 11 professional staff, and most of which are certified financial planners. In addition to providing financial planning services, we also provide investment management to our clients. And then the final note about Syverson Strege is we tend to have very philanthropic clients. And we mean it when we say it. We truly exist to serve our clients and educate people in our community about how to efficiently get to the next phase of their life, or do the things that they want to do. So Jorgen gave a little bit of background, but here's a little bit more. I am a graduate of Iowa State University. Sorry to all the Hawkeye fans on the call. I also have a master's degree from Drake University. In addition, I'm a certified financial planner. So over my time at Syverson Strege, I've helped hundreds of clients, and as Jorgen mentioned, one of my niches is working with farmers. And for anybody that's familiar with the financial advisor industry, that's fairly rare. Financial advisors tend to work with folks that have traditional assets like stocks and bonds. They're less likely to work with folks that have land, privately held businesses. So it is a bit of a unique thing. So expectations for today. We've got this blocked out for 2 hours. My presentation will take about an hour, and we'll do Q&A for as long as we need to. As Jorgen mentioned, feel free to put your questions in the chat or raise your hand. I want this session to be interactive for everyone, so please do not hesitate to ask questions. We also will have a couple worksheets, a couple resources for you that Jorgen and the team at Practical Farmers will be making available to you. So I will go through those as we go through the presentation. We were planning on doing these in person, and we were going to offer private consultations, and I still want to do that. So we want to provide education to you that's customized based on your unique situation. So this is an opportunity to do that. Now, in the current environment, we know meeting in person is not advised. So we are happy to set up Zoom meetings to do these virtually, or when it is safe to meet again, we're happy to meet with you in Des Moines. So please take advantage of that opportunity. This is not a sales pitch. This is just an opportunity for you to meet with somebody that is credentialed and can help you understand your situation better. So again, feel free to ask questions as we go along. So here's the agenda. We're going to start with retirement lifestyle. And I like to say this is like, you know, a really good place to start, because if you're mapping out a trip, you don't figure out how to get there until you know where you're going. So it's very important that you know where you want to go as it pertains to retirement. So when you think about retirement lifestyle, here are some important questions to ask yourself. What fills my tank? What do I want to do that will provide purpose? What is your purpose? So when you think about farming, there's likely something specific that gives you satisfaction. Opening a bag of seed, looking back over a clean field of beans, driving a combine, watching the grain pour into the hopper. These are all examples that we've heard from clients that are contemplating retirement. The challenge becomes maintaining or replacing that feeling of deep satisfaction during your years of retirement. So what can you do to maintain that feeling? Perhaps it's continued farm involvement if the next generation is slowly taking over the operation. What can you do to replace that feeling, that sense of purpose, providing value or fulfillment? So I advise that you think this over carefully and then start making some lists. What's important for you to do? What do you not want to do? How will you know if you're on the right track? These are all very important questions. And if you're married, I think it's equally important to talk about this with your spouse. Retirement is often a very difficult time for relationships, so make sure that you're engaging retirement as a team. This also is not a one and done exercise. Set time aside as a couple a few times a year to make sure that you're not veering off track based on where you wanted to go. And then just be willing to adapt. Life continues to change in retirement. Make sure you're looking ahead so that you can make changes on your own terms. Now, I mentioned there's a resource packet that we're going to be sending out after today's presentation. In that packet is a lifestyle questionnaire. And the whole purpose behind doing this is starting to think or having some idea generators about what it is you're going to fill your day with as you retire. And I think this is just, it sounds daunting, but it also can be a fun exercise. It's also a time to think about things that you really enjoyed doing, maybe before you got so busy, maybe a hobby or activity that you haven't done in a long time, and think about those things that you want to pick back up again. So beyond the lifestyle questionnaire that we'll be sending out, I encourage you to seek out these two books. And one's called Halftime by Bob Buford, and it's just an excellent book. The entire premise of the book is that the second half of your life can be better than the first. Bob grew a successful cable TV company in the first half of his life. In the second half, he created a leadership network to help accelerate the emergence of effective churches. His whole purpose behind writing the book was to propel people from success, which, I'm sure everybody on this call has achieved success, and moving from that to significance. You can have both over a lifetime. The second book that I want to bring to your attention is called New Retirementality by Mitch Anthony. Mitch promotes a philosophy about return on life as opposed to return on investment, which is what we traditionally think about, whether or not retirement's going well or not. It's all about living your best possible life with the resources you have. What I like about the book is that it's very practical and filled with useful advice. It includes worksheets so you can take your retirement lifestyle from more of a theory to actual practice. So very practical resource. Both books can be found on Amazon. I don't know that Bob's book is still in print, but I know there are a number of copies still circulating out there that you could get your hands on. So now we'll move from the softer issues around retirement to some more technical issues. And first, we'll start with retirement income. And this exercise starts again with questions. So how much income will I need is a good place to start. And the best way to figure that out is what you're spending today. So when you have this general sense of what you would like to do, as we just talked about, you can start working on a budget. So begin by identifying what you're spending today. I'm going to be sending in the resource packet an expense worksheet that will show you on the following slide. So this is a great exercise to do as a couple to determine what you value today and what you are likely to value in retirement. So if you don't know how much you spend on food, entertainment, clothing, etc., start tracking those on a monthly basis so you can figure out exactly what you spend. So when you have that base for your expenses, add in dollars for hobbies, activities. Here in this part of the exercise, don't limit yourself. Don't make decisions about what you can and can't do until you actually work out the numbers. I think you'll be amazed how much you can do when you start putting pen to paper. So don't forget those one-time expenses in this exercise. You will still need cars in retirement. Most people will replace a vehicle every 3 to 5 years, and for a couple that's 2 vehicles. So don't forget about those larger expenses. Once you retire, there are many expenses that will go down or disappear completely. For most, the biggest change is going to be debt repayment. So I know a goal for many farmers is to enter retirement without any debt. So whether you're selling a farm or letting the next generation take it over, this will affect both your cash flow and your tax flow. Factor this into both areas. So again, in this exercise, we only want to look at personal expenses. Unless you plan on continuing to run a small farming operation in retirement. This is truly what it takes for you and your spouse to live off of the farm. So again, don't forget to factor in taxes to this equation. If you have $50,000 or $70,000 of taxable income, you're going to be in the 12% tax bracket. And so that may be higher or lower based on what tax bracket you were in when you were farming. I know a large part of that depends on the year and how well farming's going. The number one thing here, I think, is start this exercise on your own, but I highly suggest that you work through this process with your trusted advisor to ensure that you're thinking through this comprehensively. Just make sure you're not missing anything major that's going to impact your planning down the road. So here is that living expense worksheet, and I've got this broken up into 2 parts here. So start on the income side. This first column here says current. Go through this and put in all the different incomes that apply to you, whether you're drawing a salary, you have Social Security or pension coming in, other types of farm income. Put that all in this column, and then total that up. Then in the next column, project what that is going to be in retirement. So best example here is if you're drawing a salary, once you're no longer working, you're probably not going to have that income stream in retirement. So kind of do a now and later type of exercise when it comes to income. Do the same thing as it pertains to your living expenses. So put in what you're spending today. Again, that's the best indicator of what you're going to spend in retirement. A good rule of thumb is you're going to need about 80% of what you spend today in retirement. So go ahead and put what you're spending today, and then put what it would be anticipated to be in retirement. Now, again, a prime example of what may not be there when you retire is savings. At this point, you've saved all you're going to save. Now it's about drawing on those resources. So that's one example of a expense that will not be there in retirement. So total all of this up, put your income in, your expenses, and then see what the net result is to ensure that you've got enough income to meet your living expenses in retirement. So again, that worksheet will be coming your way. So This is a three-legged stool here, and a key part of this message is that a three-legged stool makes an unreliable seat if even one leg is missing or weak. So the implication is that, you know, all three legs of the stool need to be present and sturdy. So almost all Americans have Social Security. Current statistics show about 9 out of 10 people over 65 receive some type of Social Security benefit. However, the nature of farm income can result in a lower benefit for farmers than the general population. So for that reason, Social Security can't be relied on as the only source of income. So the good news is that many of you on the call today have a very reliable asset in the form of farmland. It can continue to produce profits for you in the future if your operation will be sustained in retirement by the next generation, or the land could be rented or it could be sold. So there's a lot of different options there. I think for many farmers, the leg of the stool that makes the retirement plan unstable is the lack of funds in retirement plans. Having funds available in retirement plans provides the cushion necessary to handle those unexpected or larger expenses that can't be handled out of cash flow. So having funds in retirement plans makes it possible to avoid selling or mortgaging the land in retirement, which I know for many farmers is exactly what they don't want to do. That is an asset they want to maintain. So bringing it all together here is this is a report that we run for all of our clients, and this is an example of a farmer that I've worked with in the past, and it's simply a year-by-year analysis of retirement. And I'll start here with this black line. So that whole exercise you do with the living expense worksheet, that is basically this black line. That's your goal for retirement. In this case, it looks like it's $100,000, give or take a year. And so that's the goal we're trying to meet with the resources that you have. Now, everything underneath on this chart, those are the resources you have. The blue line are the fixed assets, the fixed income streams. So Social Security. So you can see that pretty well meets the need for many years. But what happens is this goal goes up by 3% a year due to inflation. And over time, the Social Security, the farm, it doesn't meet the need anymore. So there are supplemental withdrawals needed from somewhere to continue to maintain the same lifestyle. So it's vitally important to have that cushion, that third leg of the stool, to be able to make sure that you don't have to reduce your lifestyle throughout retirement just to make ends meet. So moving to retirement plans, I think the first reason that many individuals look for a retirement plan is based on the tax benefits. Their trusted advisor, their CPA recommended, hey, you're having a great year here. Maybe you should look at some type of retirement plan to help reduce your taxes. So that's kind of normally where it all starts. But I think there are two probably more important benefits here that we need to focus on. So the second one here is diversification. And I think the diversification is very important. That the main asset that many farmers have is farmland, and it's all too many eggs in the same basket. So that's too concentrated. So I think farmers could really benefit from diversification by having some of their assets in stocks and bonds, which is traditionally what you invest in a retirement plan. The last one here is an alternative source of income, and which I've already discussed, but I don't think that point can be stressed enough. You just need something to fall back on, so you don't have to sell a farm or put any type of debt on the farm to support your lifestyle. So here is a summary of various retirement plans that farmers use quite often, but it's depending on their situation. There's no one size fits all plan here. So the first one is the SEP IRA plan. And the good news with the SEP is that that's available to any employer. So any type of business set that up. Now, you can put money into it as an employee, even if you're the owner of the business. You can put money into it like a traditional IRA, 6,000 if you're under 50, 7,000 if you're over 50. Now, the employer could put in 25% of compensation up to $57,000 on an annual basis. So there's huge potential to put money into retirement plans here. There is a deduction available to the employer and to the employee for dollars put into the plan. And any funds that come out are taxed as ordinary income. And it's worth noting that you can't get access to these funds until 59 and a half without penalty. And that's going to be the same across all of these plans. Now, the simple IRA is a little bit different. It's not available to all employers, but I think to most farmers it will be available. You have to have 100 or fewer employees. The contribution limits are higher for the employee here. So 13,500 for under 50, 16,500 for over 50. What's a little bit more limiting though with the simple IRA is you can't get as much total dollars into the plan as you can with the SEP. You're going to be limited to, on the employer side, of 3% of compensation up to $8,550 or 2% of comp up to $5,700. 3% is a matching type of arrangement with the employee, and 2% is just a non-elective contribution into the plan. So it's a plan that's good if you have employee that wants to put dollars in, not as good if you want to maximize the total dollars that go in for the owner. Again, the same rules apply. Get a deduction for the employer and the employee, and it is taxed as ordinary income. So perhaps maybe the most effective and flexible plan is the 401k. However, this is the most costly to set up and maintain. So it's not going to be a solution for everyone. It tends to be larger scale operations that provide the 401k. The good news is you can put them to up to 19,500 in as the employee, or 26,000 if you're over 50. And like the SEP, you can put up 25% of comp up to $57,000 annually into the plan. Again, deduction for employer and employee. So let's talk a little bit about the Secure Act as it pertains to retirement plans. So that was passed in December last year, and it changed the required minimum distribution age from 70 and a half to 72. So starting January 1st of this year, the age at which you start needing to withdraw money from traditional retirement accounts will move from 70 and a half to 72. So that's an important point. So those who are already 70 and a half with their current plan for RMDs should continue with that plan. If you turn 70 and a half in 2020, you'll have an extra year and a half to begin withdrawals. Now, to add some even more confusion on top of this, the CARE Act suspends RMDs for 2020. So required minimum distributions for 2020 have been suspended. So that's a key provision here. So for inheritors of IRAs, a beneficiary IRA, they will no longer be able to stretch distributions or required minimum distributions over their lifetime. So beginning again January 1st of this year, IRA beneficiaries will need to distribute the entire IRA within 10 years. This provision is not retroactive and doesn't affect those who've already inherited an IRA. So again, please note the CARES Act has suspended required minimum distributions for inherited IRAs as well. And maybe a smaller yet notable provision is that under the Secure Act, contributions to traditional IRAs are allowed for those 70 and a half or older. This was not the case under the old rules. However, under the old rules, you could contribute to a Roth IRA if you're over 70 and a half, but now you can also do that for a traditional IRA. So I think those are the notable provisions from the Secure Act as it pertains to retirement plans. But again, here, this is new information as of this year. So happy to answer any questions about the Secure Act or the CARES Act. So switching gears, talking about Social Security benefits. So most people pay into the program and will qualify, as I mentioned earlier, and will qualify for Social Security. Workers pay FICA tax up to the Social Security wage base, which was $137,000 in 2020. So that's the wage base that it's based upon. This amount is matched by the employer. Now, if you're self-employed, you pay both sides of that. So for Social Security, it's 6.2% for the employee, 6.2% for the employer, and then there's Medicare tax at 1.45% for each side. So the total self-employment tax is 15.3%. Now, you don't need a lot of income to earn a credit. To be fully insured, a worker needs 40 credits. A maximum of 4 credits can be earned per year. So for 2020, a credit just means that you need to have at least $1,400 of wages. Once you've qualified, it's based on the best 35 years of your earnings history. So that's important to note. Now you can get this statement through SSA.gov. For certain individuals, they're still mailing the statement out around your birthday. But for many people, they have to go to SSA.gov to get this statement. So based on the best 35 years of work history, and it's important to review this and make sure all those years are accurate. You should also review the information on page 2. And what you'll see here is some retirement benefits, and they put on there, this is small, but they put on there what your benefit would be at normal retirement age, or full retirement age. In this case, it's 67. They put what your benefit is going to be at age 70, the highest possible benefit that you can get. And then they put your lowest, which is if you filed as early as possible at age 62. So good to review this on an ongoing basis. So for many individuals, and the statistics back this up, they file for Social Security as early as possible. So you have the option to start collecting benefits anytime between 62 and 70. However, if you collect before full retirement age, you collect reduced benefits. If you want to wait until full retirement age, you get increased benefit, or your full benefit, and to age 70, you get the highest possible benefit. So here's just the full retirement age based on when you were born. So 1937 or earlier, it's 65. 1943 to 1954, it's 66. 1960 or later, it's 67. So that's how that works. So as I mentioned, the majority of individuals take their benefits before full retirement. If you elect benefits early, your benefits are going to be reduced permanently. So this is an important decision. So at age 62, you get 75% of what your benefit would have been if you collected at full retirement age. And then as you wait to 63, it goes to 80% and so on, all the way up until you get to full retirement age where you get your full benefit. Now, if you delay for years beyond full retirement age, you get an additional 8% increase in your benefit up to age 70. So if your full retirement age is 66, your benefit will be 132% of what it would be at age 66. And for those people that are very detail oriented, it actually increases at 0.05% per month for the first 3 years, and then 0.05% for the subsequent years up to your full retirement age. Don't ask me how Social Security came up with those numbers. Not easy to remember, but that's how the actual math works. So collecting early, I think these are the important questions to ask yourself. So you need to consider your current health. You need to consider your family history of longevity and if you're married, and the age difference between you and your spouse. One extremely important consideration that could directly influence you to not collect early is whether or not you're actually retiring. Are you grabbing the benefit because you can, or are you grabbing the benefit because you're actually retiring and need the income? There is an earnings test. So if you have earned income prior to your full retirement age, you could actually have a benefit reduction for Social Security if you file early. I highly encourage you to work with a trusted advisor before deciding to claim benefits. This is an incredibly important decision, and there are no do-overs here. So there used to be provisions allowed that you could pay your benefits back and have it start later if you wanted to. You can't do that anymore. So incredibly important to make the right decision early on. So another very important consideration for retirement is health insurance. So as farmers, you already understand the ins and outs of maintaining health insurance coverage as a small business owner. So I won't belabor those points, but this changes substantially when you reach 65. At that point, you're eligible for Medicare. Many of us, many see Medicare as kind of this black box that handles all your healthcare needs. So I'm hoping to kind of demystify that a little bit for everybody on the call. I would say overall, for many of our clients, they're very pleased with the coverage that's provided through Medicare. So first, call your attention to the Medicare.gov website. That is just a great resource to be able to evaluate various plans. The first component here is Medicare Part A, and that's known as the hospital insurance. And inpatient at a hospital, following a hospital stay, there's skilled nursing care for rehab, also covers some hospice expenses, home health care, and the deductible in 2020 is actually $198. That's a misprint. And there is a 20% copay for Part A. So for Part B, this is the services that you get from doctors and other healthcare providers. It provides outpatient care, also provides medical equipment, walkers, wheelchairs, hospital beds, preventative screenings, vaccine. And this is a premium that is typically deducted from your Social Security benefit, and it is adjusted based on your level of income. So higher income, as a married couple, if you get over $174,000 of income, you start to see increases. It's referred to as IRMA, that will cause your monthly premium to go up. So it's important to do planning around that to ensure that, if you have the ability to control some income, that you don't get above those thresholds. Part D is the prescription drug coverage. It covers the cost of prescription drugs. You can shop for plans on an annual basis there. Premiums tend to be about $25 a month before income adjustments. You also need a supplement plan. Plan G is the plan that you would need to go to for a supplement plan Unless you were already on Plan F, you could be grandfathered in and continue to have your Plan F. This covers deductible for Part A, covers some additional fees or expenses that are not covered by just Part A, Part B, and Part D. Average premium for these plans are about $117 a month. So I think it's important to build this in to your living expenses as well. It's likely for many of you that your health insurance premium cost will go down a little bit in retirement, but it will not totally go away once you get on Medicare. There is still premium to be paid. And then finally, there's the Medicare Advantage plan, Part C. This is referred to as the all-in-one plan. And again, it's so important to sit down with a health insurance agent to go through all of this to make sure you're on the right plan based on your needs. It's such a unique thing. Medicare Advantage doesn't work for all people. Supplement plans don't work for all people. So make these decisions carefully with your trusted advisor. Now, in terms of when to file, you can file for Medicare up to 3 months prior to reaching age 65. You will definitely want to sign up for Part A. That's the free part. Part B may be something you want to sign up for. In many cases, you will. However, some people choose to delay because they already have credible coverage provided through an employer. Maybe a spouse is working and has health insurance through their employer, and they want to keep that because it's cheaper. So that's always an option there. And then, so again, can't stress enough to pay attention to those income adjustments based on your Medicare premium. Oftentimes, those can be, if you do some careful planning, you can figure out how to avoid that. So long-term care is vitally important. I kind of stand up on my soapbox when it comes to long-term care, because I think it's one of the greatest risks that threatens many people's financial security in retirement, because often what many people want to do is stick their head in the sand because the costs are staggering. Full-time skilled nursing care in a facility is about $7,000 a month. It can get as high $10,000 plus per month if you're talking about memory care. Assisted living is a little bit less services provided, about $4,300, and then home health care is usually done on an per hour. The statistics about those that plan for long-term care are somewhat alarming. 65% of people that are in a nursing home are on Medicaid. So it's pretty evident that many people are not thinking about their plan for long-term care. So what are the options? What can you do to plan for it? One option is to self-insure. I don't believe there are many people that fit into this category. There are some. Really, by the time you retire, you probably need $300,000 to $400,000 set aside just to cover the cost of long-term care. So that's why many people look at traditional long-term care insurance, policy that provides benefits in the event that you qualify for the policy. Admittedly, to be expensive from a premium perspective. So most clients that we work with, we're talking about this in their 50s, if you will. When they get to their 60s, that's when we get more serious. And then by the time you get into your 70s, if you haven't purchased it already, you're probably either not going to pay the premium or be uninsurable. So that's the key thing there, is to make sure that you're applying for the policy when you don't have a lot of health issues going on. And then finally, there is an emergence of hybrid insurance where they combine life insurance and long-term care insurance. So it's a blend of those traditional types of insurance with long-term care. And the thing that many people like about this is they know they're going to get benefits paid out one way or another, whether that be through life insurance or long-term care. I will say overall, they are more expensive than traditional long-term care, especially if you don't truly need the life insurance because you're paying for a product that you don't really need. So I've got a couple case studies here that I'll go through. Jorgen, I might just check in with you. I know we're at the top of the hour here. Any questions come in that I should address before I go into the case studies?
Doesn't look like any so far. If anyone has any questions, feel free to chat them in the box, and we'll make sure we circle back during the Q&A and get those answered.
Great, thank you. So, got a couple case studies here. These are fictitious clients here, but kind of similar to real cases that I've worked on in the past. And this first one I want to go through is a bit of a more complex strategy that we've utilized for some clients to combine their philanthropic interest and their need for income. So this is called a charitable remainder trust. So we have here Ken and Doris Wilson. They're a retiring couple. Ken is age 70 and Doris is age 68. And they've got a few goals. They're retiring this year. They have 3 married children, 10 grandchildren, and they've got an Iowa home and a condo in Florida. So they're enjoying life and looking for ways to maybe improve upon the work that they've already done. And historically, for them, they've just done the traditional estate planning. So they've got wills, they've got powers of attorney, and that's about it. So here are what they are hoping to achieve. They want to increase retirement income. That's a great goal. They want to minimize income and estate taxes, and they want more available for family. So understanding all of these family goals, in addition, they want to leave a lasting impact through a charitable gift. So I'll get to that in a second. So taking into consideration all of these goals for Ken and Doris, it was a pretty apparent that they could be benefited by utilizing a charitable remainder trust. So they had $500,000 primarily in depreciated machinery and a little bit of stock. And so what happens when you are no longer going to farm and you're maybe just going to rent your land? You don't have a great deal of need for machinery. So they've got this huge asset out there, with combines and tractors, and they want to get some value from it, but their CPA tells them that they're going to face a huge tax bill if they sell the machinery because it's been fully depreciated. And so they're facing maybe some depreciation recapture by selling that farm equipment. So instead of just selling it and paying the tax, which would cause a huge tax bite for them, instead contribute or transfer this machinery and stock into a charitable trust. And you can see there that got the umbrella over this. This is a tax-exempt entity. So whatever's sold in that trust won't be immediately taxable to the beneficiaries of that trust. So they go ahead and do that. They put it in there. And then as soon as it's contributed, they go ahead and sell it. So no income tax, like I just said. And plus, big deduction in the year of the transfer. Now, this deduction isn't for the fair market value of that machinery. It's actually for the present value of that future gift to charity, because what's going to happen is Ken and Doris are going to get the income from this trust that's now invested in traditional investments, stocks, bond, and cash. And for them, they're getting 5% out of the trust, which is about $25,000 a year, and that will go for their lifetime. Then at their passing, whatever is remaining in that trust goes to charity. And so the present value of whatever is remaining at their passing is what will be their deduction in the year that it's gifted. So we've seen this as a wonderful tool for farmers looking to exit their farming operation and to increase income in retirement and avoid the huge income taxes that come along with selling machinery or other depreciated assets upon retirement. So I've got one more case study here in our time together today. This is one I call preparing the farming operation for retirement. And this was a family of 4 brothers that worked on a farm, worked farming together their whole life. And they're starting to get a bit older, and you can see their ages there. This is a Smith family farm. Chris is 76. Dennis and Kevin are 71. They're actually twins. And then Charlie is planning on farming for the foreseeable future. He's 63. So we've got family nearing retirement age, 4 brothers, 4 equal partners, and they don't have children interested in farming. So they were facing this big conundrum on what to do. And their plan was that everybody was going to take the acres that they had in the farm and, and rent it out. Well, that's a tall order to get 4 brothers to agree on which 250 and who's going to take what. So they're running into some issues. And so their current situation is a general partnership equally owned by the 4 brothers, 1,000 acres of farmland, $1 million of machinery, and no buy-sell agreement, which more and more seems to be very common, and they're very important documents. Split out high-value assets out of the general partnership and turn on income spigots from those assets. So you can see to the left of your screen, created an LLC to hold the farmland. All of the brothers are equal owners in that LLC, holds 1,000 acres, and they'll get the rent that's produced off that farm. So originally this was set at $260 per acre, which is about $261,000. And so they would each get about I think the numbers are a little off there, but they get a little 25% at 260 there. Then the Smith Machinery LLC was created to hold the farm equipment and developed a methodology to determine, how income would be paid to that LLC for rental of that farm equipment. And so they farm in total about 2,200 acres. They own 1,000. And so they paid a rental rate of $34 per acre, which comes up to about $75,000. And again, that's paid to the 4 brothers. And then it stripped out all the assets from what you see in the middle there, the general partnership. And so that's really the profit and loss from the farming operation. There are no major assets left in the general partnership. Created assets that can produce income to the retiring brothers, so they can get compensated for their assets while allowing the brother that's remaining in the partnership that's going to continue to farm to be rewarded for the profits and losses from the farm. So this strategy worked really well. If the retiring brother was faced with buying each brother out of the farmland and machinery, that would really affect his cash flow and not make it possible for him to afford to buy them out in the way that they wanted. So this was a great overall solution for the family, and the plan is work and work very well. So I think I'm right at about an hour here, and I've gotten through everything in the presentation. So I guess I'll just ask the question to everybody on the call here. What's the most helpful thing you heard today, and what questions do you have? And I'll steer it over to Jorgen to help us get through the Q&A.
Great. Thanks very much, Matt. So the first thing I'm going to do here is stop